time is 6:30, and a quorum being present, I call this meeting to order. First items on the agenda are approval of minutes, but we don't have any before us, so we can go straight to agenda item A, public hearing, request for determination of applicability, Iron Tree Service, 21 Michael Road, Assessors Map 60, Lot 118. Is there anybody here for that? Could you please come up and introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Could you please introduce yourself?
I'm sorry?
Could you introduce yourself?
My name is Tim Donahue. I work for Iron Tree Service. I'm a Massachusetts certified arborist and a sales representative of Iron Tree.
Do you have anything to present to us?
We've submitted everything, I believe, up to this point.
All right. Joe, do you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to present?
So the applicant is requesting to remove about 7 to 10 trees at 21 Michael Road or near that property. All the trees are either within the wetland boundary or on the wetland boundary line. I think I showed or tried to depict as best as I could the trees that were proposed to come down, and hopefully the photographs show the proximity of the trees to existing driveway and the wetlands. But it seems like if the trees were to be removed, there's good impervious area for any crane to park on and take the trees out.
Bring a crane to that.
Okay.
Strictly bucket truck.
Okay.
Part of the reasoning for wanting to remove them is they're smaller trees that are growing up in the shadows of other trees, so they're exhibiting tropism where they're growing over towards the lawn. Several of them are already multi-leadered, which typically results in a failure down the road.
There's not an exact number of trees?
No, we don't have an exact number. It is 1 pine, 4 maples, 1 oak, and 1 birch butt log. The birch tree is already dead. It's just a standing butt log, but if it fails towards the driveway, it will undoubtedly hit a vehicle.
So if the commission were to issue a negative determination of applicability, they could issue that with the following conditions. Any heavy machinery used for the removal of the trees should be safely positioned within existing asphalt. All tree debris derived from the activity shall be removed off-site and or outside Conservation Commission jurisdictional areas, and tree stumps shall be left in place. No stump grinding.
Absolutely. I wouldn't want to bring a stump grinder anywhere near that area.
All right. Any questions or comments from the commission?
I have no issues.
I'm good.
All right. This is a public hearing, and there's a bunch of people from the public, so I'm sure there's so many people who want to comment on this one. But I don't see anybody getting up. So can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion or a negative determination for Iron Tree Service, 21 Michael Road, Assessors Map 60, Lot 118, as discussed at this meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
So just for clarity, we are approved or not approved?
You are approved. You are allowed to cut down the trees.
With
You
the
got a
conditions.
negative determination. We have to sign it, but we'll do that, and Joe will send that to you.
So the commission approved it. The actual issuance of the permit won't occur until like 2 to 3 business days.
No problem.
following.
The word negative was throwing me off.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you. All right, this is also a public hearing. Request for determination of applicability. Joanne Veloso, 70 Georgia Road, Assessors Map 81, Lot 120. Is there anybody here for that? Could you please come up and introduce yourselves?
Thank you. Good evening, I'm Joanne Veloso.
Hello, Jason Wallace from Premier Pools.
Do you have anything to present to us?
We've submitted everything.
Joe, do you have anything to say on?
Sure. So the applicant is filing an RDA for the proposed installation of an in-ground pool. Based off of the aerial imagery site plans provided, the in-ground pool is located about 51 feet away from the nearest wetland boundary. The wetland boundary is both delineated by a consultant that the applicant hired, and I had gone out to the site to verify the wetland boundary myself. I believe the site plans do show erosion and sediment controls around the proposed installation of the above-ground pool. They've accounted for soil stockpiling. But essentially, that is the nature of the project. It's just 51 feet away from nearby wetlands. That's it.
All right. Does anybody on the commission have any questions or comments about this one?
I just have a couple of questions. One is the home on town sewage?
Yes,
Okay. The next one is, you're just replacing the above-ground pool with the in-ground pool?
that is correct.
Okay, and it's the same footprint, basically?
It's, yes.
Okay.
It's the same location. Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
Yes, it's the
All
same
right.
location.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody
I'm good.
else?
So, I guess so if the commission were to issue a negative determination of applicability, they could issue it with the following conditions. Installing and maintaining erosion and sediment controls, which shall include of a properly entrenched silt fence and staked straw wattles around the area of construction as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. The erosion and sediment control shall remain in place until all areas of disturbed loose soil and other erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. Prior to any construction activity commencing, installing the erosion and sediment controls and contacting myself so I can do an inspection and approve of the erosion and sediment controls prior to construction. Soil stockpiles and any dewatering basins, all that equipment shall remain as far away from wetland resource areas as practicable. At a minimum, soil stockpiles and dewatering basins shall be located at least 50 feet away from the wetlands. Proper erosion and sediment control shall be installed around soil stockpiles and dewatering activities such as a straw wattle or silt fence. At no point shall any water from dewatering activities reach wetland resource areas. All water from dewatering activities shall be properly filtered and managed prior to being discharged. And soil stockpiles shall be properly covered and secured whenever not in use. That's my recommendation to the commission.
And that just reminds me, I think we've talked about this at other similar, applications and stuff, about if you're, letting the water out of the pool, you can't aim the water at the wetlands, you have to let it go into the yard away from it and stuff. But I think that's it. All right, this is a public hearing, so I will give a few seconds for anybody in the public to come up and comment. Not seeing anybody, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability for Joanne Veloso, 70 Georgia Road, Assessors Map 81, Lot 120?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much. Same thing,
Thing.
You'll get the permit in a few days.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, agenda item C, public hearing, request for determination of applicability. Chris Caruso, 215 Charles Drive, assesses map 7, lot 30. Is there anybody here for that one? Nobody's here. This is the abandoned septic tank. Joe, do you have anything to comment on this one?
Sure. So this project involves a residential connection to a municipal sewer system. So it also entails abandoning the existing septic tank as per 310 CMR 15. So the septic tank is located about 90 feet away. It is also sheltered by, so in between where the septic tank is, there's also a portion of the house that sticks out. But, you know, if it's within 100 feet, it is what it is. And there's no failed Title V inspection that was provided, so there's no, it didn't warrant an emergency at the time. So if the commission were to issue a negative determination of applicability, it could be issued with the following conditions: installing erosion and sediment controls, which shall include of a properly entrenched silt fence and/or staked straw wattles around the area of construction as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. The erosion and sediment controls shall remain in place until areas of disturbed loose soil and other erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. And then prior to construction activity commencing, installing the erosion and sediment controls, and then contacting myself for the inspection and approval.
Mr. Chairman, I think we should just table this just in case somebody shows up.
All right.
I do have a
Yeah.
question.
I saw you walk in, but I wasn't sure if you were already here. Are you?
I'm here for 765 Road.
All right, that's not this one. All right, so we will table this until towards the end of the meeting. All right, moving on. Agenda item D, request for certificate of compliance, Sincarfa Tewksbury LLC, near 1069 South Street, assessors map, lot numbers 109-70, 108-35, 108-34, DEP file number 3051069. Is there anybody here for that? All right. Should we also table this one, or do you know?
I think we should continue it. I mean, there's no,
Oh, yeah,
Based
yeah.
on the comments.
yeah, based on the comments.
Oh, yeah, that's,
So there's definitely, so since that was issued, there's more to discuss, so I would
Continue?
Yeah.
recommend to not, or at least discuss it at the end. When,
continue it right now, don't table.
Or do you want to table it for the
no,
end?
table it to
Oh.
the end, yes.
Okay,
All right,
okay.
all right.
Yes.
All right, so we will.
I was just looking at your notes, Joe.
Yep, I understand.
All right, going on to agenda item E, public hearing. A request for determination of applicability, John Roach, 130 Green Meadow Drive, assessors map 38, lot 13. Would you please introduce yourselves for the record?
Hello, my name is John Roach. This is my wife, Megan Roach. She's here to keep me in line.
Do you have anything to present to the commission?
Everything's been submitted. I can walk you through the hand-drawn picture in there if you'd like, or Joe can speak to as well.
Sure, I can talk first here. So John here had contacted me about doing some clearing of brush, trees in the backyard, and to expand the backyard to make it more of a, you know, maintained lawn area. So there's wetlands near the back. I believe it's 25 to 30 feet away from where he proposes to clear some land at its closest.
Correct.
So that's essentially the extent of the permit, is just to obtain the permission from the Conservation Commission to do that clearing within a jurisdictional area. There's no other wetland resources other than the buffer zone to wetlands. But other than that, that is it. And I
And the
believe,
shed's being installed beyond 100 feet, right, based on your drawing?
yeah, so that had, because it's not a jurisdictional area, sorry, not permitted. But, and then I believe there's a certain application of, if you just want to talk about like what you plan on doing, I think that'd be beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. So right now, in the backyard, we've got a lot of overgrown brush, weeds, small trees. And right behind those is a rock wall that runs at an angle through the yard. So what we're requesting to do is we'd like to clear out this brush, weeds. The trees, I think, at thickest are about that. They're very small. Pretty much any rocks that are embedded within those weeds right now, we would like to relocate onto this rock wall that runs through the yard. And then where all that is cleared, we plan to level that out so it matches the natural slope of the yard. And then finish off with planted grass.
All right. Anybody on the commission have any questions or comments?
So all this work is outside the 25-foot?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, because your map here says 25 to 50 feet. What is it? This is the end of the brush cutting?
Right, yeah.
Is it 50 feet or is it 25?
It's about like probably 30 feet, I would estimate. The purpose of that was to make sure that it was outside of at least the no disturb zone.
That's my concern, is as long as it stays outside, then no disturbs.
Yep.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else?
I think the only thing is with the brush cutting and the weeds, just make sure you're not throwing that into the wetlands.
Correct.
That's not an order condition, so you had written down.
Yeah, it's, for the commission, if the commission wishes to issue a negative determination, I might still recommend like straw wattle or silt fence at the downgrading portion, especially if there's going to be some loam applied. And then contacting myself once it's installed I'll do the inspection, approve it, and then work can begin. So.
Perfect.
All right, this is a public hearing. Anybody from the public? Not seeing anybody, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And so could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability for John Roach, 130 Green Meadow Drive, Assessors Map 38, Lot 13, as discussed at this meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, agenda item F, public hearing, request for determination of applicability, Richard Coco, 44 Merrimack Drive, Assessors Map 28, Lot 1.
Meeting, Mr. Chairman, board members, Dick Cuco from Woodland Design. We're looking for a request for a determination on Lot 1 on Merrimack Drive. There appears to be some wetland across the street on another abutting lot, and if you look on the plan, I've highlighted this small little area that falls within the 100-foot buffer. So we feel that negative determination is in order, especially when you consider the fact that everything on this lot is actually flowing northwesterly, and it would have to jump over the curb, the berm, and everything else to get over to the area across the street, which is actually even 10 feet higher than our lot is now. So we'll be coming in at a future date to discuss that lot, but for now, we're just assuming that that is correct and that a request for a negative determination where we feel that resource area is not in jeopardy of being compromised.
So you said the elevation across the street is about 10 feet higher?
Yeah.
Okay.
We think what happened was somewhere along the way, somebody dug a trench, dug a hole. Because we have plans from when they were building the water treatment plant back in 1986, where they were taking borings all in this area, trying to figure out where they were going to place the water treatment plant. So we're conceding the wetland for now, and we'll agree to disagree later.
And Understood.
So yeah, I did go out to the site, did a site inspection. The wetlands flagged are fine. There might be some more off to the corner, but it's kind of the same story where it's across the street, and it would just be the buffer zone would still just extend onto the portion of the property that doesn't involve the construction of the driveway or the dwelling, from what it seems like. So this is just kind of a technicality. It's within 100 feet. But if the commission were to issue a negative determination of applicability, I don't think, installing erosion and sediment controls is necessary. It's not going to, I don't think there's any threat to alter a wetland resource area.
Any other questions from the commission?
So Joe, just so I understand, in your field notes, that 20 feet away, is that the wetlands that's under debate? You show one that's 20 feet and one that's, what, 50 to 60 feet?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I have no issues with this one. I'm just curious.
All right, I will open it up to the public. I'm not seeing anybody rush up to the microphone. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, could I have a negative determination of applicability for Richard Cuoco? I don't know why your name frustrates me so much.
You're perfectly fine, Mr. Chairman.
44 Merrimack Drive, Assessors Map 28, Lot 1, as discussed at this meeting.
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Thank you very much.
Agenda item G, violation notice. Tewksbury Department of Public Works, 999 Whipple Road, Assessors Map 30, Lot 26. Is there anybody here for that? Were we expecting anybody?
No, I think
All right.
just discussing what has been presented. So yeah, for this, it was, we were waiting on a restoration plan for this encroachment into the buffer zone. We were expecting more, when it was originally proposed, something that was more detailed, that proposed something that actually incorporated some like trees, shrubs to kind of bring it back to what it was prior to the alterations. So they provided a decent density of various shrubs and plants that vary in their wetland indicator status. In addition to, a seed mix across the area, and a general
Have
plan.
you gone back out to the site at all?
But an important note would be that this work wouldn't begin until like late September at minimum, just because of the drought. So the commission can either, approve of the plan and I can let them know to go forward with it, or it's up to the commission.
Anybody on the commission have any questions or comments about this one?
Does the plan look good to you, Joe?
I think so. I think they did what the commission asked, which is to, hire a professional to provide more density, and I think it is a good attempt at doing that.
Right,
We're just going to have to have it.
And we have a natural resource issue of rain, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now
I
we
don't,
got
I don't have a problem with it.
I think it's a good plan, but I think we have to put a time frame
Agreed.
on how long, whether it's 2 growing seasons, 3 growing seasons. He's not planting until September. So why don't we give it to the following May?
For just planting?
Well, he says he's going to plant in September based on, well,
Yeah.
you can't plant now because there's no water.
Yeah. Well, it'll be like September, October. If we still get no rain in September, he's not.
Yeah, but we'll still monitor it for 2 growing seasons. You know, just to make sure that before he goes for a certificate of compliance.
So, okay, so,
So what I'm saying is that if he did plant in September, we're going to give him till May of 2024 to make sure that it keeps growing, you know, because if he fails at it, he's still going to have to do it, so.
yeah, so we can apply similar conditions that we do for wetland replication, where it's like, they can provide us like one report once a year. I'm sure I'll go down at least once a year as well. But similar to the wetland replication standards where they need to achieve,
A certain growth.
we need to define like a, like
70%
success.
growth.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
75% growth within 2 growing seasons. And if it's not achieved within 2 growing seasons, then the violation still stands. You have to do more work.
I like that.
Yeah. I
What do you think,
that's-
Evan? You like that? Just simple?
Yeah, I would just go with, instead of a date, just 2 growing seasons.
Yep.
Okay.
Joe, do you know how much they're gonna regrade the area to? Because they mention in the letter, but they don't show anything on the plan exactly on the grading. I'm not sure if it's significant or not significant.
It's not, I've been down there. It's pretty much flat.
It is pretty flat.
I'm not sure why they would mention in the letter, though. That was just caught me off guard, because
Yeah.
it looks fairly flat on the drawing.
And it
out
is,
there it's
right.
probably flat too, but
I guess, I don't know, as long as they apply, you know, an appropriate amount of topsoil with plants, I think, yeah.
Well, if they don't, it's not going to grow.
It's
and
not
they're not
gonna
going to
grow,
get
right.
Yeah, yeah.
their
We'll
thing,
deal with
so
it
they might
later,
as well
right.
do it right the first time.
Yep.
Yeah, because the whole thing was looked like they were attempting to cut a road in, which hence flat.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, this is a violation notice, so do we even need to vote, or is it a general consensus?
I think it's just the general consensus as discussed.
All right,
Yep.
cool. Sounds like they're making progress. I hope this drought ends soon. All right, moving on to agenda item H, public hearing, notice of intent. Aaron Skinner Catrone on behalf of homeowners, 765 Whipple Road, map 31, lot 57, DEP, file number 305-1161. Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Karen Skinner Catroni, for the record, representing the homeowners, 765 Whipple Road. So the homeowners are proposing, does everybody have a plan for this? I did make some extra copies.
Please.
So the homeowners, the lot currently exists, consists of a single-family house on a 2.85 acre lot. As you can see on the plan, most of the work is just to one side of the lot. The homeowners are proposing a 24 by 24 foot addition on the left side of the lot. They had originally proposed, on the right side, I'm sorry, of the lot, they had originally proposed it on the left side. But after reading the bylaws, we moved that over. Joe did go to the site and had some comments. There was some fill on the left side. The erosion control, which is on site now, was not functioning. So the owner removed the fill and did beef up, I don't know if you know, did beef up the erosion control, so it is functioning
Yep.
now. I flagged the wetlands several months ago. This has been going on for quite a few months. I did talk to the contractor tonight about, I stopped by on the way here about the fill that's on the lot. There's some fill close to the erosion control. He's gonna pull that back and, of course, stabilize that area that's unstabilized. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Now, what you just discussed was the violation part, right?
So yeah, this is This is my first ever enforcement order. So yeah, this goes back to August 2021, where, as you can see in some of the photos in the photo log, there was just fill on the site, and it wasn't clear what was gonna be constructed, but nonetheless, it was within the wetland buffer zone, and there at least needed to be erosion and sediment controls established. They've been fairly compliant throughout the entire process as far as establishing erosion and sediment controls. But the enforcement order was to the extent of filing the notice of intent to just, like tell the commission what they were trying to do and rectify any issues that were at the site. So within the photo log, you'll see, let's see. Yeah, so the photo log, photo 5, for example. So if you're looking at the house from Whipple Road on the left-hand side, there's a pile of debris that's there. And I went out in July. I forget exactly what time, but
This was before we spoke?
I think this might have been after.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And this pile, I believe, still exists, where it's a pile of just like tree debris, maybe some plywood.
Can I take a look at that picture?
Sure. This is on the left-hand side.
Yeah, so that was existing. We did remove this fill. There was a fill pile.
Okay.
And they removed it. And they removed the trash. And some of the debris. I did
Okay.
see a little bit of debris still there.
Okay.
And that is on with the inside of the erosion control. There's an erosion control existing on that side because they were going to put the addition on that side.
Okay.
Now, you said earlier that you had to fix the erosion control from the original setup.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is now over, this goes over a year now. So they had installed the erosion controls after the enforcement order. And then throughout the year, I've periodically popped in just to inspect the erosion and sediment controls. And they've deteriorated over time, just collapsed the silt fence. But there hasn't been any breakthrough, really.
Well, the reason I ask, because my concern is that house is right on that pond.
It's right on that
It's
one
right
side?
on Long Pond,
Yeah, well, it's, yeah.
and Long Pond is now closed.
Correct.
I want to make sure that the sediment control stays in place, even if you have to double it, because the town invested a lot of money in
I can show you this
with
picture.
the rake and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that it's maintained, and that would be part of the condition.
So they did have to reinstall it, so it was reinstalled, spoke.
Yeah.
It is functional
Yep.
at this time.
So, yeah, it definitely is functioning. There hasn't been any breakthrough through this.
I just want to make sure there is no breakthrough.
Yeah. So, part of the enforcement order, if you look at photo 6 from the August 6, 2021 photo log, there is like a 50 square foot area of soil that was pushed into the wetland boundary area. I have a photo if you want to take a look.
Absolutely.
Talking photo 6, Joe?
Yeah, August 6, 2021.
Okay.
So yeah, this is right after the initial enforcement. So this is like,
Does that slope down? Is it,
Uh,
which side?
so this is to the left-hand side.
So that I know the pool is this area, is that what you're talking about?
No.
Or something else?
This is, if you're looking at these, if you're looking at the house, it's kind of to the left of the house, not in the back, but just right to the side.
That's the one I
Okay.
figured that,
When was that?
happens. I'm up there, I didn't look at that. So I went tonight to check that out, and it's been moved.
Oh. So I was out there recently, and I think it was after we spoke. And I'm wondering if we're talking about the same thing, because I believe I still saw this there. It's just vegetated now. So it's kind of misleading. You would think
So
it's not.
I thought we were speaking about one that was closer to the road. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, it's closer to the road,
So-
yeah.
Oh, I thought I thought it looked like it had been removed. He told me he removed it, and it looked like it was removed. I wish I had taken a picture of it, but
Well,
it's
nonetheless.
pretty flat there now.
Yeah. So nonetheless, assuming that it's still there,
Mm-hmm.
if the commission were to issue an order of conditions, it would involve raking that back as well.
Absolutely, yep.
Where on the map did you say this one?
Yeah, so this is like right in here.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's in between wetland flag 3 and 5 for reference.
Oh, yeah, that's like, yeah. It looked like it was pretty level.
It's level, but it seemed like it was man-made level, like flat.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It was sloped before.
Yeah, it was
And then all of a
sloped, yeah,
sudden,
yeah.
now it's flat.
right. It just looked like a skid steer just pushed soil into
Oh,
wetland.
that's what I thought it looked like before, but I
Oh.
felt as though it was removed, so maybe
Oh, yeah,
recently
yeah.
removed it, but certainly that could be a
Right.
condition of the order of condition.
Right. So aside from that, there's erosion and sediment controls in place, and they're trying to construct, was it
24 by 24 addition.
okay, so an addition, the addition is outside of the 50-foot no-build zone. Is there any other construction proposed other than the addition?
Just, I did ask them if they could pull back some of that fill that was in the back.
Okay.
That would be behind the addition.
Okay,
So it's kind of a berm, it berms up, and then
Yep.
it goes down, and then the erosion control is there. So I asked him if he could at least level that off. I mean, it's,
so,
he agreed to do that.
okay.
Is this home on septic or town sewer?
I believe it's on sewer.
Okay.
I don't think you could put a septic system on that.
So I guess all the fill on the right-hand side of the house, what is that? Is that to level off for the addition, or is there
So
something else?
I did speak to the contractor about that. Some of it is, I told him you can't put more fill in there, you can't increase that pile, and asked him if he would just pull that berm back. So he's pulled everything back. There was a lot of debris in that area where it looks like the truck went down, the vehicle went down, machine went down. So I think they might use some of that and the berm soil just to level that area off. It's like a road next to the pool.
Mm-hmm.
So they might level that, he might use it to level that off, but there'll be no increase in the grade greater than what's there now.
So I guess, I would say that, in accordance with the bylaw for the 25-foot no disturb zone, we couldn't have alteration within 25 feet of the wetland boundary.
So, there's a berm here, and there's a berm, and then there's a road,
Yeah.
that they may have used to trench that silt fence.
Right.
So I believe they probably used some of that filter just to level that off to meet the other grades.
Okay.
So,
I'm just really shaky on this project right now, and I don't think there's a complete understanding of what work's been done, what work has been done, what work's gonna be done. So I would recommend coming with a better plan and a better understanding of what's happening. That's where I sit right now. I'm just very confused by the violation that occurred, what remedies have been done, and what work's gonna occur in the future. Based on these photos and what's happening, I don't have a clear understanding today.
Okay.
So that might mean a site visit for you again to update whatever has been done and what hasn't been done. Because I think the violation notice has to be dealt with first. Before we go and approve an addition,
understand.
the violation has to be solved.
So the violation was to submit a notice of intent and to
Correct.
correct the erosion control issue.
Right.
So that's definitely been done.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, have you been out there to update us that the violations have been restored or?
Yeah, so it was started off as a violation, was then managed into an enforcement order. The enforcement order was to stabilize the site and file the notice of intent because they were clearly doing some sort of construction that could be permitted by the Conservation Commission. So the enforcement was limited to establishing the erosion and sediment controls and filing the notice of intent.
And removing the soil, right? That we're not even sure if it's been removed or hasn't been removed, so.
So there were piles of soil that have been removed, they're now closer to the street. There was also a lot of debris in the buffer zone that's been moved closer to the street. There's a pile close to the street and construction bricks or something. That's
Right.
been moved outside the buffer zone.
So, I mean, that's up to the commission. That can either be incorporated into the permit or managed under the enforcement order. So you can say for a permit, as a condition, removing that 50 square foot area.
I guess the hard part for me right now is it sounds like there was some regrading done, especially within the 25-foot and 50-foot buffer zones as well, which we don't know exactly what was done. So it's really hard to say positive or negative on anything right now since a lot of there's a year gap in pictures. We don't know what happened, what occurred. It seems like different people are saying different stories right now. So I'm just very unsure, I guess, about this project.
Well, so that's totally fair, but there's the May 27th, 2022 photos as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Just,
Which you're saying there's still a pile there, there's not a pile.
Right, yeah,
Removed one pile, there's multiple piles, it sounds like.
Yep.
So I'm not sure exactly what is happening and what the future work will be as well.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with, if you wanted to put, condition it, I'm happy to send photos when the site work is completed. I can send you a report.
Okay. So I guess,
So I guess I'm saying, I think it's pretty important that you get that area stabilized, because once the rain comes, it's all going to wash into that erosion control area. So I think stabilizing it is an important thing at this point. That slope to the right in the rear.
right. Which, yeah. I guess my thing is there other construction proposed? It seems like there's other alterations as well outside of the.
It's just that
Okay.
I'm here only for order conditions for that addition.
Okay.
And I have asked them to clean up the lot, so.
Okay. So how would the commission like to proceed?
I would personally like to continue this to the next meeting to get a better understanding of the project. That's how I would vote.
I tend to agree, because it's a little convoluted at best.
You're worried that the grading of
I
what's
think,
right there.
I still think this question is just looking at the pictures, not having a full understanding of everything. The site plan's very limited with what work's going on, so at least Joe getting his eyes out there and confirming the work that's gonna be done or not be done would be very helpful for me.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you, Joe?
Yeah, that makes sense. I can confirm that my last site visit, which was within the last month, the erosion and sediment controls are functioning and proper.
And the debris and everything have been moved.
The debris in the soil on the left-hand side of the house, so the 50 square foot area, remain. But again, does the commission want to incorporate that into a permit or have that be conducted under an enforcement order?
The enforcement order was to bring it
To
here
this.
today.
Right.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I would rather keep it under this.
Okay.
Personally, but I mean, like, the commission, by all means, can overrule my opinion about that.
What are you guys thinking over there, Pat and Dennis?
I'd like to, I agree with Evan, that we should have an updated photos again and make sure that where they push the dirt to level it off, make sure that has been removed. You know, the picture that we were just looking at, it looks like the bulldozer or the backhoe just tried to make the yard bigger or something.
Okay, so,
Yeah, like photo 3 in your recent pictures, I'm like looking at that one and looking at the site plan, it looks like it's literally right next to the pool, and I'm assuming it didn't look like that before the work started. I mean, there's significant heavy machinery,
Sure.
tire tracks and
Sure.
stuff like that, so I'm gonna assume that there was modifications done to the land which aren't depicted
okay.
in any of the work done.
So I just want to, like, have a guideline for, like, what they should return back to the commission with. Like, a survey of, like, where alterations exist today.
I would say kind of what existed before the project started, where we are now, is like photo 3, like that. Was that all regraded? Is there any way to prove? I mean, I'm not sure if you have any additional pictures, any way to kind of see what work was done and not done and update that plan. The other thing too is looking at these photos, it's hard for me to tell exactly where the violations occurred and what was corrected and what's going on. So I think if we can depict, this is where that 50 square foot of stockpile was that was removed or wasn't removed, and kind of clearly lay out where all the violations occurred on a site plan, what was remedied, not remedied, I think would also help me understand. Because it seems like there's multiple stockpiles that people are talking about that's hard to determine what was taken care of and not taken
Fair
care of.
What stockpiles exist and whether it should be, if it was flat and now it's gonna be something else, or if it was something else and they want it to be flattened, which direction those things are going in.
And to Pat's point, like, if there's areas that need extra erosion controls put up or areas like that, just making sure everything's in place and nothing new needs to be put out there.
Okay, so that's fair. So, sorry, go ahead.
I might make a suggestion. I don't know if your client would be against every one of us going down there and taking a look and see what it is
Well,
physically.
you have every right to do that once they submit a notice of intent.
I just want to have the okay. I don't want to get bitten by a dog or shot. You know?
It's the law, you can go.
So my suggestion would be that every one of us, we can't go together, you have to go individually because you end up, or 2 people can go, just to get an idea of what we're actually looking at. Pictures might not do it justice. So that would be my suggestion. It's up
I
to you
agree.
guys.
I think we send Joe first, and if he gets bit, well, we need.
Yeah.
Bring a GoPro and take a full video.
So, okay, so just clarifying everything on a site plan, essentially, as far as where that 50-foot stockpile that I'm talking about is, where the fill on the right-hand side of the house is, the extent of that, and what's within the 25-foot no disturb, 50-foot no disturb, or 25-foot no disturb, 50-foot no build. So I think it comes down to what the commission was saying, just having a more detailed site plan.
So you want to see topos?
What's that?
You want to see topos? What's currently there?
It'd be helpful.
And these wetland flags are clearly visible as of today?
Yes.
The wetland is really toward the slope, so.
Right.
All right. Do you have anything else you'd like to bring up at this point? All right. This is a public hearing, and so that's technically open. Nobody's going to come up right now, I don't think. I'm not going to close that just yet. Could I have a motion to continue this notice of intent, DEP file number 3051161, to the next meeting, or if it makes sense to go, you can always continue it. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Great, thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right. public hearing, notice of intent, woodland design of 73 Emerald Court, Tewksbury, Mass. 40 Long Meadow Drive, DP file number 305-115.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Dick Cuco, Woodland Design. At the last hearing, I think we were pretty well wrapped up. The wetland replication plan was still demarked as a draft, which we've since finalized. I believe Mr. Holland wanted to make sure that it was finalized, not just in draft copy. We also embellished the wetland replication to actually show exactly which shrubbery would be planted in what locations and at what specifications, and we cleared up the wetland type mix that would be used on it. So I apologize to Joe. I had Exhibit D and I forgot to send it to him, so I was saying, gee, it's right there, but it didn't go through. So everything should be in there now, and everything should be in order.
Any questions from the commission or agent?
So the last time this project was discussed, it was kind of just working out the details of the wetland replication plan. Everything, I believe all my comments have been addressed as far as the wetland replication plan. I have the final copy here, which just includes Appendix D, and there's some change to the language of the seed mix that's going to be used. But the wetland replication plan is pretty thorough, requiring as-built once it's done. The whole monitoring language is there. So, let's see. So yeah, now that the wetland replication plan has been finalized, and I don't have any further comments on the wetland replication plan, if the commission were to issue an order of conditions, they could do so with the following conditions. Standard conditions number 1 through 4 and number 9 through 19. Special conditions consisting of installing and maintaining erosion and sediment controls around areas of construction as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. Erosion and sediment controls shall remain in place until all areas of disturbed loose soil and other erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. The location and design of erosion and sediment controls shall be installed as per the final approved site plans. Additional erosion and sediment controls may be installed as necessary to protect wetland resource areas from sedimentation. Prior to construction activity commencing, the following are to be completed: installing the erosion and sediment controls and contacting myself for the inspection and approval of erosion and sediment controls, and specifying within the permit that the wetland restoration plan prepared for the project must be abided by, the most recent one presented today. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary, the following conditions shall apply regarding the wetland replication plan and the restoration of temporary wetland impacts. The wetland replication area shall be constructed prior to any wetland impacts occurring. An as-built plan and narrative shall be provided to the commission within 30 days of completion of the wetland replication area and after restoration of temporary alterations to wetland areas have been made. The as-built plan and narrative should specify the extent of the replication area, soil profile details implemented for the area, plant species, plant locations, final grades, etc. Photographs of the replication area and the area of temporary impact shall be included in the narrative. The wetland vegetation within the wetland replication area and restoration of temporary wetland alteration shall achieve at least 75% vegetative regrowth within 2 growing seasons following completion of the wetland replication area and restoring the temporary wetland alterations. Once work toward implementing the wetland replication area and/or temporary impacts to wetlands are made, annual report shall be submitted to the Conservation Commission, which summarizes activities to date. If 75% wetland vegetative growth is not achieved after 2 growing seasons, following the completion of the wetland replication area and restoring the temporary wetland alterations, the applicant shall take additional measures to satisfy this requirement. Annual monitoring report shall continue until 75% wetland vegetative growth is achieved in the wetland replication area and within the restoration area of temporary wetland alterations. I guess it should be noted that the wetland replication area specifies a request for final acceptance once the restoration area is completed. Is that effectively to act as an interim certificate of compliance?
Not necessarily. I think what the intent there is to, while the equipment is still in the area and the contractor is still engaged, that we kind of, it's almost like yeah, this is good. It's not going to be a partial certificate of compliance, but at least it'll know that they did everything the way that you wanted it done. So, you know, we weren't looking for a partial certificate of compliance, just a recognition that it had been completed, and we would still come for the certificate of compliance when all the work was done, just to make sure that something didn't happen between the restoration and then when the final painter came in to paint the house.
So
I can strike that if.
no, I think that's fine as long as, like, if something does happen in between us saying, yes, this looks good, like for a logistics perspective. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you go to request a certificate of compliance and something happened, then.
Yeah, we won't be asking for a partial. We just basically want to make sure the contractor that's on the hook to do the work has done the work.
So you're looking to check the box and say, look, that's per the plan?
Yeah,
Right,
because
okay.
once he's gone,
Right,
trying to get him back.
understood.
Because we're using somebody that specializes in this type of work. We want to make sure that, just not a landscaper, we want to make sure, you know, knows
Yeah.
that somebody's going to.
He's complied with what he was paid to do?
Correct, exactly.
So I would recommend for the commission to include a condition for the permit saying that recognizing the request for the final acceptance is fine, but it's not going to preclude the commission from denying something when it comes with a certificate of compliance.
Yeah, and we have
if
no
something's
problem
wrong.
with that. No problem. And a lot of the stuff that Joe just mentioned is actually in the replication plan too, so.
Yeah.
It's belts and suspenders, as I like to call it, so.
All right, any other questions from the commission?
I have none, I'm satisfied.
All right, this is a public hearing, but not seeing anybody rise. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion to approve the notice of intent woodland design of 73 Emerald Court, Tewksbury, Mass. 40 Longmeadow Drive, DEP file number 305-1159 as discussed at this meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Joe for all his help on this. It was a small project, but it was pretty complicated,
Yeah.
so it took a little while, but we appreciate everybody's help and understanding. Thank you.
All right, this next one is continued. Could I have a motion to continue notice of intent Goddard Consulting LLC on behalf of Rhino Capital Advisors LLC, 30 Commerce Way, Assessors Map 23, Lot 18 and 19, DEP file number 305-1162?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, Agenda item K, public hearing, notice of intent, BSC Group on behalf of New England Power Company, 1470 Shawshene Street, and adjacent electrical distribution right-of-way, assessors map 102, lot 40, DEP file number 305-1164. Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
I'm Marley Sullivan from BSC Group here on behalf of New England Power Company. This was continued from the last hearing, and essentially we just didn't have a DEP file number. Would you like me to re-summarize the project as well?
A quick re-summary would be great.
Essentially, New England Power Company is proposing to do some exempt maintenance work within their existing substation, to do some replacements and upgrades to their existing substation facility. This includes some replacements of the existing fence, some replacement of equipment on the inside, and some reconfigurations, but all within the existing gravel and within the existing pavement. That work is in the 100-foot buffer zone, and to a lesser extent, 50-foot, no build zone and no disturb zone. And then in addition to that work, which should be exempt, they would like to construct a gravel work area that would be fenced in to conduct the work. So within the existing substation, they're replacing a transformer. In order to work on the transformer, they have to kind of turn things off to do the work safely. So what they're going to do is bring in a mobile substation, which is on a trailer. It goes into this gravel work area that they would like to construct with the fencing around it for safety. And then that essentially connects to the overhead wires and continues to feed the circuits above while they do the work within the substation for the upgrades. So within that gravel work area, there would be two short structures that would be a shorter height than the existing wires, because it acts as a tap from the mobile substation to the structure and then up to the existing line above.
How long will power be shut off for?
So only one would be shut off at a time, but the circuits would remain fed because of the mobile substation. So there wouldn't be any outages to any customers, because it is a transmission line, also not a distribution line to local residences or anything, but there wouldn't be any disruptions in that regard. So.
Any questions,
I think
comments?
we've heard this story before.
Yeah.
Right. That sounds familiar.
All
I
right.
have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
No. Public utility.
So my only comments are that it does involve some encroachment into the 25-foot no disturb zone, which would require a waiver. And then if the commission were to issue an order of conditions, they could do so with the following conditions. Standard conditions number 1 through 4 and number 9 through 19. Installing and for special conditions, installing and maintaining erosion and sediment controls around areas of construction as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. The erosion and sediment controls shall remain in place until all areas of disturbed loose soil and other erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. The location and design of the erosion and sediment controls shall be installed as per attachment E of the notice of intent. Prior to any construction activity commencing, installing the erosion and sediment controls, contacting myself to do the inspection and approval. From when construction first commences and until project completion, a minimum of monthly status reports shall be submitted to the conservation agent, which summarizes pertinent site information such as construction progress and maintenance of erosion and sediment controls. And I think this last one is redundant. I think that's it.
All right, this is a public hearing. Nobody's getting up. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion to approve the notice of intent BSC Group on behalf of New England Power Company, 1470 Shawshene Street, and adjacent electrical distribution right-of-way, assessors map 102, lot 40, DEP file number 305-1164, as discussed at this meeting?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
First page down, 3 more to go. That was a joke, sorry. Agenda item L, public hearing, a request to amend an order of conditions, Civil Design Consultants, Inc., on behalf of E Street, Tewksbury LLC, 1023 and 1029 East Street, assessors map 103, lot 80 and 129 respectively, DEP file number 305-1132.
Good evening, Jim Hanley, Civil Design Consultants. Just to kind of recap where we were previously, we came in, I think it was last month, with a modification to the plan to eliminate the pervious pavement and replace that with a infiltration basin. We reduced significantly 30,000 square feet of pavement, one of the access drives, presented it to the commission, and at that time we had not received a letter yet from DPW. Since that time, we met with Planning Board. Planning Board approved the non-significant change, made modifications to the plans, resubmitted them. On Monday, we received a letter from DPW. There's one remaining comment relative to stormwater, and that's on page 2 of 3 of the DPW's comment letter. Essentially, what they're asking for is 3 test pits within the infiltration basin witnessed by DPW. We performed 3. Before we do any formal design, get the town involved, we go out, we dig a test pit, there's equipment on site. That wasn't witnessed by the town. Then after the initial letter, we met with DPW, went out, we dug 2. We should have dug 3 apparently. So we have a high level of confidence that we're in good shape. Unfortunately, DPW had a couple of vacations this week and was not able to meet us out there Monday, Tuesday, or today. So we're meeting Board of Health out there tomorrow morning to dig it, and we should be all set.
All right.
So that's kind of where it stands. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them for you.
So we're just looking for a physical acceptance of you digging the pit from the town?
Yeah, so they like to be, so it's one of these things where DEP requires the digging of the test pits, which we always do. DPW asks that we notify them and have them on site.
To be present?
Yeah, right. So it's more courtesy. That,
Okay.
and, you know, I don't think it's a written regulation or anything, but we always do it. And so, unfortunately, signals got crossed when they were out there with DPW. They dug 2 instead of the 3. They'd like the 3rd one. Like I said, we've already dug another test pit. It just wasn't in front of DPW. So,
engineering provided their comments, which is what was just distributed. So in regard to stormwater, it's really just per the stormwater handbook, there needs to be that 3rd test pit. Is it every 5,000 square feet?
yeah.
So that's what it still remains to be done in order to comply with Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook.
So can I just clarify?
Sure.
We do have 3. We have done 3.
Okay.
Only 2 were witnessed by DPW. So when we went out there originally to do this design, we dig a test pit to make sure that what we're going to spend a week and a half redesigning works. Just wasn't witnessed by DPW. DEP does not require any witnessing, and we did do 2 that were witnessed. So, and you know, there's a portion in this pond that's filled. That's all going to be pulled out anyhow. We're going to backfill with sand. Sand's the underlaying material. So we do have the 3. We do comply. Just they haven't seen the third.
So the plan in whole is good, we're just waiting for a witness of a third pit, essentially.
Unfortunately, well, we
Right,
couldn't
and
get
wasn't
them.
able to be complied with at this
Yeah,
meeting.
so we're
Okay,
meeting with them tomorrow.
okay, got it.
I don't, and the witnessing is a courtesy.
Absolutely.
I don't have a problem with this at all.
All right.
Yeah, my understanding was that it was just 2 out of 3 were done, not 3.
Right.
Just one of them.
So, right, so we did 2 with Randy at the site. He witnessed those 2. Before we did any design, weeks before that, we went out on our own, right? Mox has equipment out there, wanted to make sure that what we're designing was actually going to work. We just didn't, they didn't see that one, right? So we have done 3 that
Okay.
DEP requires. You know, like 5,000 square feet to go down 8 feet and backfill, there's really not a lot of room left over. You really end up turning over like a lot of that material. But that's what they want, so we'll go back out tomorrow and do it. But we are looking for the commission to consider approving the modification to the order of conditions tonight.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with that if nobody else does.
No, if anything, you know, we've got less pavement.
Yeah,
You know,
overall.
I mean, right there is a bonus to
Yeah.
me.
So, yeah, that's fine. Do you have a site plan that shows the 3 test pits in there?
I don't, and I'm not sure that that first test pit we actually located and provided, but we did do it so we could do the design. You know what I mean?
Well, there's
So-
only one test pit shown on the plan that I have, so if
Okay.
you did 2 more, that would be the 3, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how 1 would remain if you had to do 2 more.
We might just do 4 tomorrow, just to make sure that we don't have this issue, but
Right, you
it
got a
it
piece
is
of
out of the...
equipment. Right, you got a piece of equipment and a witness.
Yeah.
Right, understood.
Right.
So yeah, that's just I didn't have a site plan that showed 3 test pits within the basin that showed compliance.
Okay.
So it would basically just be, you know, your word saying that there was 3 test pits done in that area.
So what we'll do is tomorrow, after we're done, we will get the test pit log and the location on the plan and resubmit that as part of like the final record.
I think that's a great idea.
As long as the commission's aware.
You don't remember Randy coming and saying, we pulled out tons of automobile fluff, or whatever it's called.
Once we got through the 7th tire, it was pretty good, right?
All right. All right, any other discussion on this?
I have none.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to close the, actually, I will open up the public hearing, just in case I haven't done that. Not seeing anybody rise. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Chair votes aye as well.
and bless you, right.
This will be, the conditions would be for the amendment, would probably just similar to what's already been issued for the order of conditions in regard to like soil stockpiles, dewatering, stuff of that nature. So-
Can we put in a condition that based on the 3rd test pit being approved by DPW too, that it's accepted? Anything like that,
Yeah,
just to
witness can
cover,
approve. right?
Absolutely, yeah.
just to cover
Yeah.
ourselves too, and then that
And the locations be logged on the site plan.
Yeah. So if not already stated, just, you know, dewatering activities, managing that appropriately, soil stockpiles covered, secured whenever not in use, you know, located as far away from wetlands as possible.
All right, so I just want to cover all of our bases, and I'm going to open up the public hearing again because we just had further discussion. Again, not seeing anybody rise, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion to amend the order of conditions for Civil Design Consultants, Inc., DEP file number 305-1132 as discussed at this meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go anywhere.
Your board. Your
Your board.
Okay,
Could I have a motion to continue the public hearing, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, Bales Associates, Inc., on behalf of Holt and Bugby Company, 1600 Shawshene Street, Assessors Map 112, Lot 4, DEP file number 305-1136 to the next meeting?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
that was 1163, I believe.
Did I not say
I
1163?
think you said 1136, but
Oh, 1163. Where was I?
sorry.
I have a second, right?
Yes.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, public hearing, a request to amend an order of conditions, Civil Design Consultants, Inc., on Livingston Street, Assessors Map 85, Lot 45-UB02, DEP file number 305-1142. Could you introduce yourself for the record?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, for the record, I'm Tom Schomburg of Civil Design Consultants, representing Mark Ginsberg for the parcel located at off Livingston Street, map 85, lot 45, UB2. We are requesting an amendment to Order of Condition 305-1142. Proposed modification does not have any impacts with the floodplain. The project consists of improving an existing driveway, the construction of approximately 50-foot by 50-foot pond, and the removal of approximately 6 to 8 trees. The existing driveway will be repaved from Livingston Street to the existing pavement at the maintenance shed, and along the wetlands within the 25-foot buffer. The driveway will be shifted 6 feet further away from the wetlands. If the board have any questions, I can answer them now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the need for the gravel parking addition?
The gravel parking addition, I believe it at this point is really just to,
Like, will you be storing vehicles related to the Tewksbury Country Club there?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the pond feature, this is a depression, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
I didn't know if it was like one of those
Yeah,
raised, like, water fountain
or
stuff or
something, yeah.
whatever. I know it seemed like a ridiculous question. Okay. The driveway is just like essentially repaving. There's no change in grade that would alter the 100-year floodplain?
Yes, the proposed driveway is going to be at existing grade within the 100-year floodplain, so there will be no fill.
Okay. Okay. So I believe everything is either existing outside of the 20-foot no disturb zone or further away with that kick out of the driveway. So if the commission were to approve of the amended order of conditions, I guess I would just recommend the installation of the erosion and sediment controls along that driveway in the parking lot area, as shown on the site plans, to consist of straw wattle and/or silt fence. And then the removal of the trees, just to what would that process look like? Is that like crane coming in or?
Most likely not, no, probably just small vehicles.
Okay. So a condition of not leaving any of the slash material on the property, just bringing all that off-site or outside of a jurisdictional area.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I have none.
All right. It's a public hearing. Nobody's getting up. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All those, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Could I have a motion to amend the order of conditions for civil design consultants, DEP file number 305-1142?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's,
The
last
R,
one.
right?
Yep.
All right, we will go to agenda item R, violation notice, Fabio Lima and Isabella Andrezia, 237 River Road, assessors map 27, lot 19. Could you please introduce yourselves for the record?
Hi, my name is Fabio. This is my fiancée Isabella.
All right. Do you have anything to present to us?
I daily mail back all the, we clean every day. We put the corrosion barrier, that I say, and we remove all the fill. Did you see the pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we leveled the yard, we took all the fill, and we put the corrosion border over 25 feet from the wetland. I remember where you marked, so I went back there and I put a stick. So I kind of had
All right, cool.
There you go. So I'm just passing around the photos that were sent to me. I don't think they came out super great, but so yeah, as shown in the photo log provided, there's just some placement of fill within the buffer zone of a wetland. A decent amount of fill. I think one of the photo logs shows like one of the tree bases is hidden, 1 to 3 feet in fill.
it's not anymore.
Yeah, no. I'm just describing the initial
sorry.
violation. So that's what triggered the violation is the placement of fill within a buffer zone or in a jurisdictional area without a permit. I haven't gone back out yet to verify whatever work has been done, but based off the photos provided, it seems like some of the fill was scraped back from the 25-foot no disturb zone. Most of the fill wasn't located in the 25-foot no disturb zone, although some of it was. In portions, it was about 22 feet away. In erosion and sediment control, the silt fence has been established. There's some tree stumps that are in the wetland.
We bought the house from the bank a year and a half ago. They removed, and there was a lot of trash there. When you go back, you can see that I go camping a lot, and I chop the woods, and like now, when you go back and check, we brought back all the tree trunks. There's only one left there, the bottom one, and we chop it in pieces, and I give it to my friends, and I put a sign in front of my house, free wood.
So yeah, as long as, the idea is to just not have any some of like the brick, large rocks, tree stumps in the wetland or in the
We
buffer.
work all day, but you're welcome to go there anytime, see whatever problem it is, email it to me, and I'll get it done.
Sounds good. So I imagine some fill is still there, correct?
Where?
In the backyard.
No, we leveled the backyard, it's done. We removed all the big fills, it's gone. We took 8 trucks, I made them take them back, 8 trucks. We rented a machine, yeah, we rented a machine, and we pushed back from where you went before, the 22 feet, we pushed back 10 feet. So now we way farther down than what was before. And we had our house cleaner kids. We had everybody there Saturday. We cleaned it all, picked up all the rocks, buckets, brought it up. We did some work.
All right, well, I guess, I mean,
We didn't know about the buffer.
Sure.
First time homeowners, we didn't know. We hired a guy and he said, oh, I'm gonna fill your yard. We're gonna look beautiful. And then you came and you saw the mess.
so that's fine. It's just now I need to do a site visit to, although that's all well and great, I need to confirm for myself, for the commission, that was actually, that all the fill was actually removed, returned to its previously existing grade. So,
Trust but verify.
exactly.
That's all, yeah.
So I guess.
But yeah, I mean,
We appreciate the effort,
Yeah,
taking
like-
care of it in a timely manner.
yeah.
Yeah, I, as you notice, she's the one that calms me down. I have OCD. I never make it in school. I never went to school because I can't sit still in a chair. So she's here calming me down, saying, honey, I'm starving, I haven't eaten. So yes, everything I need to do, I just get it done. I don't leave nothing for tomorrow.
That makes one of us.
I wish I could, I just don't.
All right, so for the violation, maybe I'll do a site visit after, and then we can talk about it at the next meeting.
Yep.
Agreed, right.
Yep. All right.
Sounds great.
Yeah, sorry for keeping you
No, it's
all
okay,
this
but-
time.
It's not.
But thank you for coming and, explaining everything. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
guys.
very much. Yeah, we don't, it's a,
Oh, we don't
so,
have
Yeah, it's,
all set?
yeah,
Okay.
you're all set.
Sounds like perfect.
so I'll give you a call, maybe sometime next week.
But you're
Send out-
welcome to go anytime.
Okay.
There's no fence.
All righty, Saturday.
Thanks.
All right, that's awesome.
More people.
Okay, I think we're getting to this one that Joe snuck in here, S.
We still have to go back to like
Yeah.
C and D or D and E.
That's not what you think it is, it's not what you think it is.
Real quick, could I have a motion to continue request for certificate of compliance, DEP file 305-998, the notice of intent, DEP file number 305-1158, and notice of intent 305-1157 to the next meeting.
So moved.
Have a second on those?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Now, which one, which way did you want to take this one back to?
We have C and D that we tabled.
Sorry, what was just continued?
The,
We bundled.
yeah, we
Right.
bundled
P and Q?
PQ, OP.
EQ.
Oh, PQ, okay. To September 21st?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Okay, so for C, do we also want to continue that?
Let's see. I mean,
This is the one I had a question on.
I had one question too. but-
And it says on the drawing here, fill leach field, new leach field.
Yeah, I saw
That was my
I think
same
that was,
question.
I think it was a previous,
yeah, so that's just a septic, like,
on
design.
the same thing. I was like,
Or
why do we have
inspection.
two leach fields? But I assume that was from a previous repair.
Can we, I just really need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I don't know how to formally do that.
Recuse yourself.
Recuse myself for 5 minutes.
Formally, I don't want to go there. We will take a brief recess.
Yeah, recess.
We're back from recess. And I believe I said, so what's this about a new leach field?
Oh, now they put in a new leach field in. That's what I don't get. It says new leach field, failed leach field.
Yeah,
They were
I
hooking
think
up
the
the sewage.
plan's dated 193. That's what my question was going to be. Is that plan from 1993, or is that just page 1 of 93? Wait, it was submitted.
So again, hooking up the town sewer involves crushing a septic tank and trenching to the sewer lateral on the street. I don't think this work involves any leach field, because that's typically just not done when you do septic abandonment and tying in a town sewer. And the septic tank is 90 feet away from wetlands, and it's shielded basically from a portion of the dwelling that kicks out. So from like a wetland protection standpoint, I don't think there's a substantial risk of, alteration of the wetland resource area from this activity. But so, if the commission were to issue a negative determination, it would be the typical installing erosion and sediment controls, installing and maintaining erosion and sediment controls, which shall include a properly entrenched silt fence and/or stake straw wattles around the area of construction as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. Erosion and sediment controls shall remain in place until all areas of disturbed loose soil and other erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. And then prior to construction, establishing the erosion and sediment controls and contacting myself for inspection and approval of the erosion and sediment controls, but is subject to the commission's issuance or approval of a negative determination.
Any questions or comments? All right. This is a public hearing, but we're the only ones in the room, so could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability? Chris Caruso, 215 Charles Drive, Assessors Map 7, Lot 30, as discussed at this meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. And now, agenda item D, request for certificate of compliance, Sankarfa Tewksbury LLC near 1069 South Street, Assessors Map Lot numbers 109-70, 108-35, 108-34, DEP file number 3051069.
Okay. So, since the distribution of the packets, there's been some activity. So, pass around this for starters. Pass around. So, there's two things here. One is there was a issue that arose during a site walk where it was noticed that there was washout on one of the access roads. And so this project was the solar project on South Street. So it's the old landfill. So there's access roads through wetlands, but most of it is just most of the project was installing solar panels on top of the hills of the landfill, and the jurisdictional areas that were affected were some of the wetland crossings that were existing, and they were just basically just applying gravel in the floodplain. So the picture to the left is the prior to the project even starting. And I'll pass around this packet as well. And if you flip to the last page of that packet, there's a picture. So this is what is currently, so if you guys flip to the last page, this is what that access road looks like currently. So it was noticed during the site visit that there's like small area of washout of some gravel material. So as you can see, comparing and contrasting the before and after pictures. There's obviously some like stone compacted material that's been placed there. There wasn't any current washout. There was no stone observed within the wetland itself. This is kind of more of just a remnant feature of washout that had been occurring in the past. So it is, the commission seeing the before and after pictures, it is up to the commission whether to rectify this issue prior to the issuance of a certificate of compliance.
I don't know where they're getting the water to wash it out.
Yeah, oh, yeah. But, so this project originally was permitted in 2018. So this could be a remnant feature of something that occurs on a routine basis, since 2018.
Right.
And, looking at the before picture, I'm not sure if that's always going to happen. So that's one issue for the commission to mull over. The other part of this project is confirming compliance with the compensatory flood storage. So this project was basically, again, just placing gravel within the floodplain, and they needed to provide compensatory flood storage for it. So what they've provided is an as-built, which shows existing grades currently. And you can compare the original proposed plans with the as-built plans, and based off the topo, you can kind of gauge whether they filled in the areas that they said they were going to fill in. Let's see. The only problem the only question that arose was there was two areas that they applied fill of gravel. One was the northwest access road, and one was the crossing of the Sutton Brook to the southeast. Let's see if I have these here. So yeah, I'll pass around these. There's highlighted portions. I kind of simplified this, but I would focus on the highlighted portions. So if you flip to the second page, there should be an area highlighted in pink. And that's where they modified the grades, that's where they applied fill in the flood zone. There's also on the left-hand side, highlighted in yellow, that's where the compensatory flood storage area was. I did a site visit that looked to be constructed as per the plan, based off of what I can tell. Then, if you flip to page 4 of, just this, just the 4th page. This is one question I had was, it looks like the grades are in the pink, looks like they are altering the grades here in the flood zone, but I'm not sure if that was accounted for. That's just one question I had. So 5, 6. So if you go to the 6th page, so this is where in the, so this permit was amended in circa March 2020. And they said that they were going to apply 7.5 inches of gravel over a 601 square foot area in this crossing. So this is Sutton Brook crossing in the blue. So you can compare the proposed plans with the as-built plans. You can compare the topography to kind of confirm whether the amount of fill was actually the amount of fill that was proposed. The only thing is, there's no, like, you can't, it seems like with the plans that are provided, you can't do that same comparison to make the same assertion that, yes, you did apply 7.5 inches of gravel across a 600 square foot area. It doesn't seem like there's a way to confirm that. It hasn't been spelt out for the commission anyway by the applicant. However, there was a letter from the engineer stating substantial compliance with the permit, but that is essentially the only proof that the amount of fill that was proposed was actually proposed. And that's, I'm not sure if that's proof, more of just the engineer saying that it was conducted in accordance with it, with the permit. The compensatory flood storage that was provided was calculated to be about 3,000 cubic feet. And so far, what has been calculated for fill is about 1,000 square feet. So what was proposed for fill in the Sutton Brook area, the area in question where we're not really sure how to confirm it, was about 1,000 or less square feet of fill.
Do we know what the purpose of the fill was?
It was, I believe it was placed, the gravel was placed so that large trucks going in and out of the construction site would have proper stabilization.
So what you're saying is, did they put more or less?
I'm saying there's no way for me to confirm how much fill they placed in that area. Because you can maybe make that assumption with the northwest access road on page 2, because there's topography that you can compare from the as-built to what was proposed, the grade changes. So you can make a general assertion that it was conducted in accordance with the permit. But with this, these are the proposed plans, and there's no baseline topography to base anything off of. So I don't know how much fill was placed in this area. Based off the site visit, it didn't seem like a whole lot, but at the same time, they should have some way of telling us how much fill was placed in that area, unless they're just assuming that it was as proposed.
So basically, this was for egress for the construction.
Yeah.
This had no purpose other
Correct.
than vehicle access.
Correct. I believe. But as far as compliance with the WPA, we would just, whatever fill you place in a flood zone, you need to provide compensatory flood storage for.
Right.
But it's,
What's that flood storage provided?
that's the question. That is the question ultimately.
So we have to finally answer that question before we even consider it to approve this.
They didn't even pay the filing fee, so you couldn't even do it.
So,
if they
so
wanted to.
they have paid the filing fee since. And like I said, they provided the letter of substantial compliance, but
They provide as-built drawings too?
yeah, and the record drawings.
Yeah. The record drawings, because these say not for construction. Issued for permitting, so unless there's something else, these aren't as-built.
Yeah, they do have record drawings, but like I said, it doesn't show topography in the area of Sutton Brook.
So we need to define how much fill they put in there to make sure the compensatory storage is adequate for what they put in that area, essentially.
Correct.
So that should be the direct question to them.
Yeah, we don't have to figure that out.
No,
have
they
to.
do.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
prove it to us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It wasn't spelt out, and this was actually recently caught. So this was mentioned to them yesterday, today, about this issue. So it's not like they will be working on it, but.
Okay. Well, I mean, what should we continue it until they provide the document?
Well, this isn't a public hearing. I know it's an administrative certificate of compliance, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess you can still continue it to the next meeting, but
All right.
I guess it would be good, because I'll be in coordination with them. Would the commission like to handle how would the commission like to handle the washout issue in that access road?
I mean, we're talking a 5-year, 4-year span.
After the initial construction of this, there's not going to be a whole lot of heavy machinery going down these roads, right?
I would imagine.
Like routine maintenance.
Yeah. Because like, how would they solve that washout right now? And would that be causing more, potential damage to the wetlands right there, instead of just leaving it be?
I would leave it be. So
Like, yeah, there's gonna,
it doesn't look like it's that substantial.
I would rather a little bit gravel wash into right there than to add a giant, I don't know, whatever you'd have to do to stabilize that right there. That's kind of the lesser of two evils, I would think. So, yeah, I would rather them, they see a pothole, they drive around it, and hopefully it doesn't get too bad, but they'll have to fix it if they can't access, that road anymore.
I'd leave it alone.
I think the less is better for me.
Because you didn't notice any crushed stone in there right now?
No.
Is it in that one space, or is it like pervasive throughout the road, like washouts like that?
it was just this area that I saw. It does seem that the applicant provided more comp storage than fill, but I think it's just that fill isn't exactly quantified at this moment.
So I think we should continue it to the next meeting, and you've already asked them these questions.
Yeah, so the person I was in contact with was the construction management individual. So he's not directly the engineer, but I think he saw my points as far as, we can confirm some areas where we're able to compare as-built topography with proposed and say, yes, you did this correctly. But when there's nothing shown as a baseline and nothing shown on the as-built for an area of fill, how do we know that you did it in accordance with the permit?
I think it's a valid question. I think you've asked the question, and we continue and see if they respond.
Sure.
I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way because like absent us, if we can't determine it and it's them saying, yes, we did this, and they're lying, then we either have to accept that or prove that they're lying. But if we don't have the method to prove that, then we kind of have to take their word for it at that point. And until something else happens that we can say, oh no, you know, you added too much fill at this point, then, you know, we're kind of left with.
So that's the point of record drawings and stamp drawings, like that PE stamp is what holds them liable for anything they're doing.
So this is maybe a general question, but it will pertain to this project. What would the commission like to see for comp storage projects, like as proof of fill and proof of comp storage provided? Like, should they be providing like a cross section of like the area of fill and the area of comp flood storage? Or is it something where we are just comparing as-built topography with proposed topography?
Record drawings, stamped record drawings is kind of the only way, unless you go out physically on site or like measure or do something like that with pictures. It's unless you know of a better way, but for the most part, that's why you have REs on the site and site foremans to make sure that they're conforming with what's drawn, and then you have the engineer stamping record drawings, pretty much verifying that what was done in the field is accurate.
Ultimately, that holds them liable.
So I guess that's the purpose of the letter from the engineer saying, yes, everything was done in accordance with the permit. So Evan, you might know better than myself anyway. So they applied 7.5, or they proposed to apply 7.5 inches of gravel across a 600 square foot area. Could that even be picked up on a survey?
A
Almost.
survey, I mean, you would have, if they did a real survey, I doubt they would do a real survey after a construction
don't know
project
what-
like that. They wouldn't go resurvey it afterwards. So it's pretty much, they just said they did it. They don't have to be a field RE pretty much certifying that they did it while the construction was going on to go back afterwards. You can almost, if you wanted to, where the gravel ends, take a picture or measure at the end bounds of it and kind of say, is that 7.5 inches? Besides that,
We don't know what settling occurred by running
Yeah.
70 million pounds.
depends
of-
what compaction they did
Right.
too. I mean, I'm not sure if there was compaction. I doubt there was compaction put on it. I'm sure they just threw riprap or.
They drove over and compacted it, right.
So what would the commission want to see the next time they come around?
I agree with the
I
stamp
think
drawings.
stamp drawings are,
Drawings are,
put their two PE signed off on this, put their PE stamp on this letter.
Yeah, it's ultimately.
They do have record drawings.
Yeah. I think, I mean, for the most part, that's the only thing that you can do to cover that the work. You, RE logs, anything like that, they would have daily books pretty much put in what construction activities happened, if they had an RE on site. If not, you're pretty much trusting the construction foreman to be doing that work for you, and then the engineer, by putting their stamp on, it's confirming the site foreman, the RE, who's ever in the field, that work was done in accordance with how they wanted it done.
So do you want to take a look at the letter then? Because they did provide as-bills. And
So as-bills would cover it for me, I just didn't see any.
is there?
Houses one, yeah, they're in here,
Yeah.
in the letter. I mean, that covers it for me, personally. Because if you go back and prove, like we talked about, if we can prove that they're not complying, or the as-bills aren't right, that's a liability right there for them.
Okay, so they have provided the as-bills, and there is a letter from the engineering company saying
the
that.
project was complied with accordance with the plans.
Correct. And, now that if we want to just leave this issue as far as the washout, is there anything the commission would want to continue the project on now?
If we're fine with the washout as is, do they have to remove the erosion control or anything else? Or is it already gone? Or are they just leaving it in place?
I think
in
it's,
perpetuity? Or is it biodegradable? Erosion
it's a
control?
compost material. So, like I said, I think, yeah. That's why I wanted to ask, like, I don't know, although yes, there really isn't a way for us to verify, I don't know how they would do that unless it's just, this letter with the as-built.
Yeah, because their verification in the email to you wasn't really a true verification. That was just taking their CAD drawings and saying, yes, this
Right,
is
but
what
the
happened.
letter from the engineering company,
Yeah.
Yes.
More substantial.
yeah.
Pass that down if you want to see it. Or anyone else that wants to see the letter.
Let's see that.
It's basically just a general blanket statement saying the work that we observed. And I walked,
Well, it says right here, by a PE, so, and it's signed, PE, project manager, principal engineer. I would accept that as a,
So it was reviewed by EPA too, on February 9th, 2021.
it was reviewed by the,
The flood storage compensation.
Where's that?
Under construction, last bullet point,
On,
the letter. Oh, is this a different letter?
yeah, that's a substantial,
In the letter in the packet agenda,
okay.
mention that.
Because technically speaking, we could hire a third-party consultant to go resurvey the land and have a better idea about the amount of fill that they put on there. In this case, it seems to be, maybe they're off by a little bit, but ultimately, I don't think it's, cause for concern. But if you go out there, hypothetical, different thing, and they're saying, oh yeah, we put this amount of fill and there's actually, giant mounds, then we can,
Yeah.
go further. But at this point, like, it doesn't seem worth it.
Where I was coming from for this is just trying to do everything that I can to verify compliance, but, talking it through and.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how they have it listed and what they have in their letters kind of covers it.
Yeah.
Or it covers, what I should say is it covers ourselves.
Yeah.
If anything does occur, or anything was done improperly, because we can always fall back on what they provided us.
and more importantly, this is something for the future. You learn the process here.
Yeah.
And you know the questions next time to ask.
Right.
I'm with him, and I think the letter stamped by, with the signatures is kind of a, lack of a better term, a get out of jail free card.
So they still have to answer the questions that you sent them, correct? You haven't received their responses back from the latest round?
Yeah, that was on this one. It says in red, but it's not a color.
Oh,
Yeah, so they have responded, and that's basically asking, I just wasn't familiar with the term record drawings. I've never heard of that before. I've only heard of as-built. And just like administrative stuff, like the fees, which they pay, the letter of substantial compliance, which was the PE that signed. And then what recently came up was the washout and me questioning, whether they actually complied with it. But if the letter says it was reviewed by EPA, I'm sure, plus.
Well, they've taken the engineers at face
Yeah.
value.
with all this new information, I'm fine.
This is the, this is actually the as-built. It printed weird, but I just zoomed in on the areas. Can you put your stamp on that, please?
I don't have a stamp. Never got one yet.
All right, so continue or approve? What's the,
I'm fine with approving it if people want to continue though. I'm also okay with that.
I think we approve it.
all right,
I think we put it in the rearview mirror.
you guys are good? All right. Could I have a motion to approve the request for certificate of compliance, Sincarfa Tewksbury LLC, near 1069 South Street, Assessors Map, lots numbers 10970, 10835, 10834, DEP file number 305-1069.
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair also approves. All right. And now, last thing, wetland protection funds. You taking another class?
No.
Oh.
Oh.
You teaching another class?
Okay. So, this is in regard to 44 Scarapa Way, which is near Mitchell G Drive. So there was a tree that was based off GIS maps, is on Tewksbury owned land. And a part of that tree collapsed and ended up crushing someone's fence. So it's on, the tree's on their land. And we had Brian Gilbert from DPW, who's a Mass Certified Arborist, come out and evaluate the tree, and it said that, you know, it could pose, it's not structurally stable in parts because of a branch fell off, and now it's, the load bearing is off and whatever. So it could rise to the level of an emergency, in my opinion, because it still threatens additional property damage in someone's backyard. There's still people that do things in their backyard, so it's a potential threat to public health and safety, in my opinion, and in Brian's opinion.
So this is on town property?
Town property.
The tree. Is the town property, is it conservation land that's under the jurisdiction of this board? Or is it just town property?
I was told, and I don't have any paperwork to back it up, but I believe it's under the management of the Conservation Commission.
So you believe, so it either is or it isn't?
I
would
find
that out.
Okay.
I mean, how much money are they looking for?
Well, so they're not looking for money to repair their fence or anything. It's to remove the remaining portions of the tree.
Right, because the insurance company should cover the fence. I mean, I was assuming we're going to removal of the tree.
Right.
So that's why I want to know, is it under the Conservation Commission? That's what the conservation funds are for? Or is it under the town, and that's what the taxpayers pay for?
Yeah.
We do have a tree division in town.
Not anymore.
I mean,
Yeah, and is it open space land? Is it actual wetlands? Or is it just town-owned land?
I think it has to come under, for us to use conservation funds, it has to be managed by the Conservation Commission.
So I can certainly dig deeper and ask more people who know that answer. In the interim, assuming that it's under the management of the Conservation Commission, the request would be to use wetland protection funds to
remove it.
The thing is, DPW doesn't have the capabilities of removing it. Because they don't have climbers, they don't have the equipment in order to do the removal. So it would be contacting a contractor to do that. So again, assuming that it's under the management of the Conservation Commission, approving the funds to do that.
Right, so we don't even know how much it's gonna cost. Do we have an estimate? I mean, I don't want to just sit there and say, here, take $20,000.
No, yeah.
I say we start at 3,000. That's every number, every tree company.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think you have, number one, you have to determine if it's under conservation. Because I think that's what allows us to use the wetland funds. Because if it was a tree on Main Street, you can't do that. You know, it's kind of like CPA funds. You can only use it for historic buildings and parks or whatever it is. So I would definitely get the answer to that. Then I would get a quote.
Yeah, yep.
You know, I don't want to sit there and say, well, here's a blank check. That's not going to happen with me. Yeah.
Okay.
I also
Yeah,
just want to be
obviously
very
understand.
cautious because, you know,
Yeah.
don't we get calls saying, oh, this tree's gonna fall over? It's like, that's your tree, we don't, you know, the town does not go out and do this type of stuff. This is the one situation in which the town may possibly be responsible
Well,
for.
the crane will fall over and squash someone's house,
Yeah.
removing the tree, then damage the fence.
Yeah.
This is how this goes.
Okay, so I'll get to the bottom of whether it's actually under the management of the Conservation Commission. I'll get some quotes, assuming that it is.
Well, I don't think you have to get the quotes. I think that would be up to Brian to get the quotes, or the tree guy.
I'll have a conversation with Brian.
Okay.
Well, I mean, because if he's,
That is his gig.
Is he the tree warden of the town?
Yes.
oh, okay, I didn't know that. Tree
Tree warden is the
Great
very old established
Yeah.
position.
Same as sheriff, right?
Yeah, we used to have a moth warden, but
Oh, wow.
that was, I forget when that was canceled.
All right, we dodged a bullet there. Joe has homework. Right.
All right, old business, new business, admin reports.
New business.
Where are you coming up with this stuff? I think he's adding stuff.
So, a while back, there was sewage outbreak on Ida Street. And I had brought it to the commission's attention because DPW wanted to apply a line to degrade the sewage. So that has happened again, and they're looking to do essentially the same thing.
Was it in the wetlands?
It was, so I did a site visit. The sewer manhole that was actually overflowing wasn't in the wetlands, but the sewage was going into a wetland.
When did this happen?
What's that?
When did this happen?
I think beginning of like August 4th, my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. So,
What was the cause of
What
this
is the
backup?
cause?
It wasn't like
This is
it
number
was
2, isn't it?
running water or rushing water.
There has to be roots in it. If it goes through the wetlands, 90% sure it's
Yeah.
probably roots.
Yeah, but so as far as like the discharge of sewage into a wetland, we have a town representative who talks with Mass DEP when these things happen. And so that any release of sewage stuff is, yeah, you have to report it. And it's not, we don't deal with the sewage discharge. We regulate the work being done in order to do the
Remedy.
work. To remedy, exactly. So I don't know where I was going with that.
Do we want to apply lime again? Is that going to be the question?
Yes.
Are we flinging lime in the, all right, we got it. There's really no other
Yeah.
viable alternative, is
Yeah.
it? Is there?
I mean, the lime is a non-intrusive way of
Naturally occurring element, right?
Just figured I would bring it to your attention.
All right.
I think we need to stop it. I think the town needs to stop it.
They have to. There's other things that are making them do that, stopping it.
All right. Did we hit everything? Hit all the tabled ones?
I think so. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
You got it, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.